Subscribe for Reddit's controversial opinions. If you're angry just because people of color weren't nominated for an Oscar, you're a huge part of the problem. Look, I get it. You want to see someone who represents you be awarded things. But to fucking freak out every goddamn time there isn't a specific skin tone in every category is just as racist as the bullshit reason you believe they were left out. Way too many people walk into a room and count the colors. If you do this, you're an asshole. I cannot stress this enough. This also applies to gender, sexual orientation, pronouns, hairstyle, whatever else you are actively looking to be disappointed by. Do you not see that almost every single person nominated has been nominated before? Do you not understand that studios literally apply and campaign for these awards? Do you not realize that these people and things spend heaps of money to catch the attention of the Academy? This is a fucking game, you morons. And you're not on the team. Stop always making it about race, or sex, or gender, or orientation. Stop walking into a room and counting the colors, or the sexes, or the gays. Just be a fucking person, and root for the person who deserves the fucking job. Not just because they are the same race as you. And you can make all the excuses you want about who deserved what. But, shocker, entertainment is relative. How are you surprised that these people are looking out for their friends and family? All you see it as is das Races, instead of the very real, very common nepotism. I'll be waiting for the ban, removal, and the angry replies of how I'm Hitler. I'm upset that the majority of NBA players are black men. Until we see more Malaysian women running point, I will boycott basketball. I paid zero attention to the Oscars. I'm just mad Adam Sandler got snubbed for probably his best performance in his career. I never thought he could do a serious movie too. It's utterly ridiculous. Imagine as a black lesbian only being able to enjoy a film or acting performance because it's a black lesbian actress. Op is right, it's not the rest of us that have an issue, it's you. Skin color or even gender, has nothing to do with acting or any other talent for that matter. Let's establish that before anything. Now I'm not sure how this works tbh, and I'm quite mesmerized about these kind of voices coming up in every similar occasion. But it could be that it's a media made up thing or even certain lobbies or groups bringing up the subject for political reasons. In general, I don't think that this actually reflects the opinion of the public. However, the way media portrays it could influence the street in a way or another. But this is not the kind of influence that we are seeking. I was listening to the radio last night and they were talking about a contest winner who was black. The interviewers were almost pissed that he didn't want to acknowledge that he was only the second black winner ever, like you just have to be proud that you won and you weren't white. Maybe he's just happy he won and doesn't want to make it a race thing. It kinda depends why they are angry. If they really don't care about anything other than if their in-group got enough rewards to meet the arbitrary threshold of their proportion of the population, then yes, I agree. Just because black people are 12% of the population doesn't mean that them getting less than 12% of the Oscars is due to racism. However, that usually is not what people are saying. This is an argument I hear most often from people on the right as a strawman. Although I'm sure you can find me examples, I have never heard a POC make this argument in real life, and I don't believe this is the majority opinion. It's a silly misrepresentation to make the right feel superior. It's as silly as when the left portrays anyone with a gun as a nut job. There is good cause to be upset about the lack of representation of POC in Hollywood. Yes, it's usually nepotism and unintentional racial preference, but that isn't much consolation to talented POC who struggle to make it in the industry. White people don't face the same struggles as POC when competing for jobs in the industry, and that fact permeates everything, all the way up to who receives an Oscar. It even happens in soft ways. The white actress who earned an Oscar with an amazing performance may have only been able to give such a performance because of the practice she accumulated due to being given disproportionate advantage at the casting phase. Racism in the entertainment field is real, and POC are justifiably angry that it remains one of the few fields where racial inequities are so visible. You wouldn't face these issues at this magnitude if you were an accountant or a lawyer, for example. There is a real concern here, and it isn't the reverse racism of black people being angry because there aren't enough black people on the stage. Damn, what a circle jerk this post has turned out to be. You're trivialing what people are actually saying. No one wants representation for the sake of it. There were some damn amazing films out there, this year, many of which were created by women and people of color that were simply ignored by the Academy. This has happened year after year, which is why people are fed up. Us, Waves, The Last Black Man in San Francisco, The Farewell, Queen and Slim, Parasite, no acting nomination, da fuck. It's also destroying independent film by refusing to acknowledge amazing films that weren't blockbusters. This is why I love it when the three compadres make films. They fucking sweep whenever they make a movie, Iñárritu, Cuarón and Del Toro. They make movies so damn good they crush all the mediocre films that the Academy deems as noteworthy. There are films like that every year, but they aren't given a chance. I hope Parasite sweeps because it's the best film this year, by far. The Oscars happened. Even statistically, there is a huge disparity. Muslims make 1% of the U.S. population, so for them to be even nominated for an Oscar, is an amazing achievement. Blacks make 10 something percent. Same happens to elected officials. We need more /x reps. Well, you only represent /x percent of the population, so you should only have this much. Muslims should have 4 representatives, and 1 senator. But all this fucking dividing removes merit. I am part of a minority, and I have seen white people do much more for us than our own reps. It's insane. Sorry that the Joker who was created maybe 50 years ago is white. Sorry someone white had a fabulous performance that outdid someone of color. If you want to see people of color winning things, watch the Grammys. I think the complaint is that there are lots of people of color not getting the credit they deserve. That even though movie casts are more diverse, excellent performances by people of color are being overlooked. I don't follow Hollywood enough to really have an opinion, and I haven't seen any data or analysis suggesting a bias or lack thereof. But from what I've heard, you're arguing against a point that people aren't making in the first place. I think opposing groups often paint negative and inaccurate representations of perceived opponents and then argue against that representation rather than the real thing. People forget that only 13% of Americans are black. And even less work in the film industry since they are on average poorer. It is naive to think it would be realistic that black people would be represented every year. Agree completely. Don't award color or sexuality but talent and performance. Part of the issue is that there aren't opportunities for POC, which means no nominations. Don't focus on what the conservatives say, focus on why people complain. For example, would you agree or disagree that the MCU lacks any real minority representation? As a Hispanic, the only Hispanic character is an ex-con, in all the MCU movies. Am I wrong to complain? Am I wrong to complain because that means that no one in the MCU considers Hispanics as part of the population or worth portraying? I agree with you, but I think it's also weird how we view race. I noticed it after watching a lot more British TV shows, but you really don't see a lot of mixed couples or mixed families in US television or movies like you do in the UK. Always thought that was interesting. Really the only one I can think of is The Walking Dead with Machone, SP, and Rick, but I haven't watched it in a while, so they might be dead. Thanks to these people, racism will never go away. Christ, we are all part of the human race. If the Oscars came on and the only actors nominated were all from a different planet, then you can complain that we didn't have the representation. No matter what color of person is nominated, we are all the same human race. Then again, do you think aliens get pissed about non-representation in the Miss Universe pageant? I think people just want to be proud of someone that they can relate to, and in the past of course POC barely ever won awards, let alone were movie writers/stars. However, I think now we're moving to a point where race and gender are not contributing factors. That's why in this particular award season it was really weird for me to see the outrage of some feminists. I'm a feminist myself, but Jesus Christ, do you think they didn't have any female directors win just because they are women? No, absolutely not. Maybe this year women directors just weren't that impressive, lol. Anyways, like you said, it's rigged, and it's such a absolute niche insignificant problem. So why does this outrage happen every year? I did the research, and it turns out an FTM transgender, half Venezuelan half Nigerian between the ages of 38 and 42 has never even been nominated for an Oscar. And if that doesn't make you want to literally vomit with rage at how far we have to go, then you're part of the problem. Certain races, blacks mostly, complain about everything not being black enough. If you consider that blacks are 13% of the population, and watch movies or sports or anything on TV, you'll notice that blacks account for more than 13% of the people on TV, so they are actually overrepresented via real life. They complain there aren't enough minority owners of professional sports teams. Whose fault is that? To my knowledge, not one black person has put together financing and a proposal to purchase a team yet. Do they expect the NFL or NBA to give them a team? They want law enforcement to hire more black police officers. Hard to do when the amount of black men and women going to the police academy is at an all-time low. Sooner or later they will have to make an effort themselves to change what they want changed. But to complain and do nothing to help, is just whining. Imagine a white director starting the White Entertainment and Television Awards. Think blacks would be okay with that? You think they would be held accountable if actors said the BET Awards were too black? But it's fine for them to say the Oscars are too white, even though blacks account for more in movies and TV than in real life. They are still unhappy. You can't change things unless you are willing to change things, and not just complain. Buy a team, become a cop, find a way to be a solution and not the problem. Racism will never go away, and it's not the fault of white people. I see more people bitching about people angry about lack of diversity. This isn't unpopular at all. Believe it or not, normal people are reasonable. This isn't even the real argument. People will always be upset when the person they like doesn't win. I really doubt all the best actors in such a diverse field will coincidentally end up being the same race though.